Good evening, folks. It's Diamond with the Oppenheimer Ranch Project, bringing you a grand solar minimum update on Thursday, August 30th, 10:46 p.m. Eastern Time, 2018. You're looking at the central Greenland temperatures 4,000 years before present to present. Now, this is modified from Alley in 2004, and then modified from Diamond since then. You are here, and you are dropping down into the modern minimum called the Eddy minimum. As predicted, temperature variations, wild weather is changing as it has in past grand minimas and drop-offs. Here's the medieval warm and the grand minima associated. Here's the Roman warm and the grand minima drop-off associated with the Roman Empire failing, the Minoan warm, and the end of the Minoan Empire. You are living the end of the modern empire. Solar grand minimas have been known historically, and they have a periodicity of occurrence with lags in between, with a regular periodicity in modern time, going back to 1000 AD, of 100 years in between. The last minimum was the Dalton, beginning in 1790, with the hunger stones being exposed, and by 1801 there were famines and riots in Europe. That lasted for 30 years. In fact, one of the shortest solar grand minimas in recent history. Now, 100 years later was the Glasberger Centennial minimum, which lasted 34 years and was less severe than the Dalton. But every 200 years, there is a major grand solar minima, like the Maunder minimum, and that one lasted 7 years, similar to the Eddy minimum that we're going into. Now, we're not making all this up. Ancient cultures were well aware of the solar cycle. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years around this sphere. Did they know that the solar cycle was 11 years, thousands of years ago, from this dragon mural? Well, what we do know from the historical documentation in science is that solar activity on the bottom directly corresponds to global temperature. And you're looking at the central England temperatures from 1659 to present. And you're looking at the Maunder minimum, the Dalton minimum, and the Centennial minimum, and now the Eddy minimum. And you can see clearly here, solar activity corresponds to drops in temperature. There's the Maunder drop, the Dalton drop, the Centennial minimum drop. Here's a drop-off just from this low solar cycle, 20. And now we're dropping into the next grand minima. Don't believe me? Let's go to the mainstream media here. Teeth-chattering winter with plenty of snow, Farmer's Almanac predicts. They use the sun to predict weather. Hold on to your wool caps. We may be in for a brutal winter. Unlike other news stories predicting warm and burning up, the Farmer's Almanac predicts a colder than normal season stretching from the Continental Divide to the Appalachians. Contrary to Al Gore's stories storming the web, our time-tested long-range formula is pointing towards a very long, cold, and snow-filled winter. Whew. Solar physicists the world around are also predicting similar occurrences. Prepare now. That's a boom. The popular forecaster said frigid conditions are expected into mid-February across New England, Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, Midwest. Above normal snowfall is predicted for the Great Lakes, Midwest, New England, Pacific Northwest, they said. So did we a year ago. Maybe they're watching the channel. They're not the only ones. First winter weather advisories of the 2018-19 season issued for parts of Rockies in Montana and Wyoming back on August 28th, my birthday. There are the pictures to confirm it. Now, these warnings didn't come out until September last year. Midwest totally flux, severe storms leading to widespread flooding, high water rescues, leaving 110,000 without power today. Another round of severe thunderstorms swept through parts of the north central United States this week, causing damaging winds and heavy rains. Widespread flooding was reported across Wisconsin. The flooding has damaged roads, businesses, and private residences in multiple counties. At least one person was injured near Thornton, Iowa, after a tractor trailer was blown over on Interstate 35. Heads up! Quebec storm chaos, 175,000 without power. EF2 tornado officially confirmed. Severe storms marched eastward across Montreal, Repentigny, and Trois-Rivières, knocking out power to 175,000 homes Wednesday afternoon. It's crazy. Like, ice shoots out like that. Fresh concerns over Russian wheat supply. Reports have indicated that the Russian government may implement export limits on their grain due to a reduction in output due to adverse weather. China's not giving out any wheat either. Whew. What does the future hold? Not a lot of wheat for the rest of us. The potential for less availability supply comes as Egypt purchased 350,000 tons of extra wheat, including 290,000 tons from Russia and 60,000 tons from Ukraine. Even the hint of export limits has riled the markets. Whew, the future is unfolding before our very eyes. Even the Dutch know. Solar minimum nearby. Do we get Elfstedentocht? Elfstedentocht. That means it's solar minimum and it's very cold. Check out that article. This is an 11-city tour that only happens when ice gets over 15 centimeters thick. The tour is announced and starts within 48 hours. And this winter, Elfstedentocht may be continuing for decades. That's a boom. Come check out the Greenland ice sheet growing at 7.5 gigatons per day as of today. That is the fourth highest reading ever this year. The fourth highest reading ever this year is happening in August on Greenland. That is a boom. Heads up. There's the facts, folks. Take a look at this turning up here in epic proportion, up at 500 gigatons per day. The lowest it got was 500 gigatons per day in the summer. The Greenland ice sheet is rapidly increasing in thickness, density, size, and anything else you want to call it. Let's check out the GFS model for total snow accumulation up in the Arctic, and it is going to get buried. The snow is going to be building hard and quick, and the southern Greenland ice sheet, you can see, is getting record snows in the summer. The Maritimes look like they're going to get involved, and we have snow coming all the way back down into Montana and Colorado here on the 4th and 5th of September. We're going to be watching this closely. Looks like Alberta's going to get buried, and BC's getting into the action as well. Late summer snows everywhere. We can do a quick space weather news update. You can see the solar minimum sun is keeping us in A range on GOES X-ray flux. Plasma speed has dropped off in the last 12 hours, down below 400, and we are in solar quiet. KP was 0 9 hours ago. We're back up to KP2. And we are still in electron flux here. Check out these high levels. We are high level energy bombardment. We're in an electron storm for over 3 days. And you can see here, internal charging on all satellites has been going on for 3 days. In big ways, we're going back up. So we're going to watch this quickly. This could cause some damage to the satellites with this ongoing event for 72 hours now. Check the stratospheric radiation numbers coming out for July 2018, and it does not look good. Central California up 18%. Whew, and I flew in a plane. I know, it's insane. Check out the dose levels. The worst dose levels are at 40,000 feet currently, which is where the big jet plane flies. If you are a small plane operator flying below 25,000 feet, the dose is good too, but way up here in the stratosphere, low dose. But this type of dose is causing cloud nucleation up at 80, 90 kilometers. The biggest chance for injury is flying in a plane. So you don't want to fly too much, especially during space weather events. When I flew out here to the East Coast, I went right through a geomagnetic storm. Climate change is real. We must not offer credibility to those who deny it. This is insane. We are no longer willing to lend credibility to debates over whether or not climate change is real. It is real. That is sick. We need to act now or the consequences will be catastrophic. In the interest of balance, the media feels the need to include those who outright deny the reality of human-triggered climate change. Guys, human-triggered climate change is, first of all, unproven. And it's a horrible theory that has failed miserably for decades. CO2 is not warming the planet. It's going off the charts. And as a paleoclimatologist, I can assure you CO2 follows temperature. It has nothing to do with the temperature. CO2 is plant food. It's not pollution. It is non-toxic. And the mainstream has lost their mind. Fringe voices will protest about free speech. I'm not a fringe voice. I'm a scientist, paleoclimatologist, and I'm basing my information on factual data. Take a look. I made this graph. I didn't fake any of this data. This is coming from the mainstream. The evidence is clear. The mainstream is off the charts. Take a look at this. World leaders who deny climate change should go to the mental hospital, according to the Samoan Prime Minister. Now, this is in the equatorial regions of Samoa. The Prime Minister of Samoa has called climate change an existential threat for all Pacific families. Sea levels rising, everybody's going underwater. Any world leader who denies climate change's existence should be taken to the mental hospital. Well, the Samoan Prime Minister needs to go to the mental hospital because all he has to do is look at data coming out as early as the 3rd of June 2010 that all of the low-lying Pacific islands are growing, not sinking. And Tuvalu is the biggest culprit. Now, the leaders of this island glommed onto the global warming alarmism so that they could get federal money. And it turns out Tuvalu's growing, not sinking. Wah, wah. The jig is up. The ruse is over. And the cooling has begun. Are you prepared? We're going to fall below Maunder minimum levels, and it's time for you to start preparing. If you want to survive and thrive in the future, do not listen to the mainstream. It is an Orwellian world when people don't even have the wherewithal to research what is coming out of their mouths, and they control governments. You want to be prepared? Check out our newest sponsor, Patriot Supply. We have the biggest discounts, and if you want to support our channel and support your survival, you can get all sprouting seeds on sale. Start sprouting now. Support Oppenheimer Ranch Project. Save $70 on a 4-week emergency food supply. Check out some of the packages. For $600, you can get a 3-month food supply, 100 heirloom seed packets, 100 packets, and an ammo can. I'm telling you. Heads up. I know a good deal when I see one. And that is very creepy. And boom. Guys, we're going to get back to the normal show tomorrow night. If I make it back into the Four Corners area, wish me luck. We love each and every one of you. And that's a boom.